Okay, so this video is about writing equations of lines in y equals mx plus b form. We're going to talk about 4 different ways of writing them. 1, we're going to write equation for a line given the slope and y-intercept, or given m and b. We're next going to talk about writing an equation for a line given a graph. After that, we're going to talk about writing an equation for a line given m and a point, or slope and a point. So those are all the ways we're going to talk about it today. Instead of 4 ways, it's just 3. All right, so here we are. First thing is write an equation for a line given a slope and a y-intercept. So I'm going to do that. If they told me my slope is -5 and my y-intercept is 2, our steps for doing this is this. We first write y equals mx plus b. Then we'll substitute m and y-intercept with b. Then we simplify the equation. So given this, I'll first write y equals mx plus b. Then I'll decide what m is. Here, they said m is -5, b is 2. Because my slope was -5, which means m. My y-intercept was 2, which means b. So when I substitute that, it's going to be -5x plus 2. So that would be the equation with a slope of -5 and a y-intercept of 2. Here's another. In this case, I'm going to start off with y equals mx plus b. I'm going to substitute my slope is -1/2 and my b is -2. So my slope is -1/2, my b equals -2. So the equation should be y equals -1/2x plus -2. Or even better, y equals -1/2x, subtract 2. You could say plus a negative or just subtract. So the next one says my slope is 0, my y-intercept, or b, is 3. So I know the equation would be y equals 0x plus 3. But truthfully, you really won't see 0x, so we call it y equals 3. Even though this is perfectly fine and true, you usually see it written as y equals 3. In my last one, my slope is 1/3 and my y-intercept is 0. So I'll write y equals 1/3 x plus 0, or y equals 1/3 x. Either way is good, but you usually don't see plus 0 on the end unless that's the only thing over there. Since you have a 1/3 x over there, you don't need the plus 0. But you could write it if you want. You can always write plus 0 if you want. All right, look at a second type. In the second type, it says write an equation for a line given a graph. The rule is write down the equation y equals mx plus b. Use any 2 good points. Good points be points that occur at corners. And find the slope between one point to the next. And then find the y-intercept, or the b value. Then substitute m and b into the y equals mx plus b. So what I mean is this. Given this line, zoom in a bit. So given that line, here, if I want to find the equation for it, I will begin by looking at my y-intercept. That'd be the first thing I would find. So I know b equals to 2. And the formula is y equals mx plus b. So I know b is 2. I need to choose another point on that line. So I look closely for another place that crosses at a corner. And it looks like the next place it crosses at a corner is up here. So if I go over and up, I'll go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 over 5 to the right, so that's positive. And up 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 4. So I got my rise over here, my run in the x direction. My slope is rise over run. So my slope is 4 over 5. So I know b and I know m. So when I write the equation, it should be y equals 4 over 5x plus 2. And that's the equation in slope-intercept form for that line. If I want to write the equation for this line, I can find my y-intercept. So I know b is -2. And I need to find another good point. And I'm going to choose this one. You could have chosen this one. Either way, we have a good point. So if I did that, I would rise 1, 2, and I went over 1, 2, 3. So now my rise over run is 2 over 3. So we went up 2 and over 3. So my equation should be y equals 2 over 3x plus a -2, or y equals 2 over 3x subtract 2. Now, had you gone the other direction, and instead of going up and over, you went down and to the left, you went down 2, so it's negative, and to the left, 3, 1, 2, 3, so that's also negative. So if you went that way, you would say your m was down 2, left 3. Now truthfully, -2 over -3 is the same as +2 over +3. So that reduces the v 2 over 3. So no matter which direction you go in, you come up with the same slope. Try one more just like that one. Here's my y-intercept, and another good point will be here. So if I look for how far it rises and runs, I went over 2, I went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 2 over, 6 down. So since it went down, I'm going to call it -2. Because 2 to the right is positive. Right is a positive direction. So it's positive. And down is a negative direction. So my slope is rise, -6, run 2. So it should be -6 over 2. My y-intercept, or b, would be 2. So the equation is -6 over 2 reduced to be -3. So the equation would be y equals -3x plus 2. You could call that -3, -3 over 1, so you can always see it as a slope. Sometimes you don't see it written as a fraction. Sometimes you just see it written as a number. But it's a good rule to always think about it as a fraction. All right, giving a new one. Here, I got 2 special lines. Here, I just have a horizontal line. I have to write this equation. Because here, if I started at this point, and I went to say this point, I would rise 0, but run 1, 2, 3. So my slope would be rise over run. So my slope would be 0 over 3. So if that's true, my slope is just 0. So if I write y equals mx plus b, I will rise 0, and my y-intercept is 3. But truthfully, you could write it this way, or you can just call it y equals 3. A horizontal line is always y equals some number or constant. A horizontal line is always y equals some number or constant. Constant being some number without a variable. So you won't ever have a slope because the slope is 0. In this one, I have a vertical line. So if I start at this point and say went to this point, I will rise 1, 2, 3, but I wouldn't run, I would run 0. So that slope is 3 over 0. That slope is undefined because division by 0 is undefined. 0 in the numerator is perfectly fine. You can plug that into the calculator, and the calculator tells you 0. 0 in the denominator is a number that we cannot use, so it's an undefined number. So this slope is undefined. Because this slope is undefined, it won't actually have a y-intercept either. So it's an undefined slope, and b does not exist. For that reason, we can't use y equals mx plus b. So in this case, whenever you have a vertical line, it's always x equals some number. And basically x equals the number it crosses on the x-axis. This case is -6. So the equation of this line is x equals -6. Because it's a vertical line through 6. Had I given you a different line, had I given you this line, and it was vertical, that line would just be x equals -3. It's a vertical line at -3. Had I given you this line, and it was vertical, this line would be x equals, looks like it crosses at -5. So that line would be x equals -5. So vertical lines are always x equals. Horizontal lines are always y equals. So had I given you this line, it crosses at -4. So it's y equals -4. Because my slope is 0, and I cross the y-axis at -4. All right, so that's enough of those. Going on. The last type is write an equation. Write an equation of a line given m and a point. So in this type, you're going to write an equation of a line given the slope and the point. The rule is still the same. We're going to start by writing y equals mx plus b. We're going to substitute m and x and y from the point so we can solve for b. You're going to substitute m and b back into the equation. So this is how it works. If I gave you m is 2 and my point is 2, 3, that means x and y is 2, 3. So if I gave you y equals mx plus b, that means that my point is 3 and my slope is 2 and my x value is 2. So x is 2, y is 3, m is 2. The only variable left is b. So I know 3 equals 4 plus b. If you're going to solve that equation, 3 equals 4 plus b, you subtract 4. So -1 equals a b. So if -1 equals a b, if you wrote the equation for it, in y equals mx plus b form, the equation would be y equals, your slope was 2, so y equals 2x. Your y-intercept is -1, subtract 1. So that's the equation for it. We'll give another one. One beneath is number 15. In that one, m is -2. It should be equal sign there. So m is -2. And the point is -5, 3. So this is x and y. And this is m. So y equals mx plus b. If y is 3, I plug in 3. My slope is -2, so I plug in -2. My x is -5. So I get 3 equals 10 plus b. Subtract 10 from both sides. -7 equals a b. So now I know m and b. So the equation would be y equals -2m subtract 7. I will copy any of that stuff as a note, but it's all I have. Good luck.